Don't spoil the twists for anyone. So we're about to spoil those twists for you, by the way. But I don't know about you, Jamie. Did you ever see them announce this movie? They spoiled this in the announcement for the movie. I knew what the movie was going into it, and it actually made the movie worse for me.
Okay, I didn't know that. No.
Because it takes so long, and I went, wait, what? And so about like an hour and 10 minutes into the movie, they reveal that it's not just romancing the stone. It's not just like an author going on some adventure where the bad spies are coming after her, and Sam Rockwell appears as like the schlubbier, sort of like non-Henry Cavill looking spy who's a little bit more disappointing, but is still can do the fights, can do the work, and she gets to go on a real adventure, unlike her fake ones that she makes up as a crazy anxious cat lady, which is another thing we'll get into maybe at some point. But the actual movie is The Long Kiss Goodnight, for anyone who has seen that. And I was actually so blown away that it was literally The Long Kiss Goodnight that I actually rewatched it today, because I hadn't seen it since I was a teenager. That's the Shane Black script, directed by Rennie Harlan. Sam Jackson is actually even in it and is in this movie as a result. Mm-hmm. Gina Davis is the lead in that. And that's a movie about Gina Davis, kind of like a pre-Jason Bourne sort of like espionage hitman neo-noir, but she has amnesia, that she is this sort of like suburban mother and sort of school teacher, and she's living this very sort of idyllic sort of like country life, and then all of these like very violent sort of henchmen from a different period of her life find their way back and start telling her that she's someone else, and she gets bumped really, really hard on the head, and she starts having memories that, it's very Jason Bourne. Like they almost feel like they kind of stole that from this a little bit. And I just could not believe that beat for beat, he basically was doing it. Like right down to Gina Davis bleaching her hair, which she does when she becomes her character again. Bryce Dallas Howard does that in this, and she's revealed to have been the real Agent Argyle the entire time. Rachel Kyle, R. Kyle. It's fucking stupid. And, The Long Kiss Goodnight, it gets into its premise right away. Yeah. Literally, the opening thing is I'm having memory problems, and I'm in my 30s or whatever, but I'm actually 8 years old because I don't know what happened to me, and I've just been living this life. And they set it up that you're going, oh, there's something in her past that's going to come back. In this, it's used as like a rug pulling, like, oh my God. Not only is Henry Cavill not the real Argyle, and not Sam Rockwell the real Argyle, it's her. Yeah. And I went into this movie because they said when they announced the movie, like Bryce Dallas Howard signs on for a movie about espionage agent who has amnesia and writes books. Like they literally pitched that. I went into this being like. Oh, and I was like, so this takes an hour and 10 minutes to get to that premise. And you're by the time you get there, you're just like, this is literally nonsense. Like Sam Rockwell's character doesn't even make sense until they get and they unlock this premise. I felt bad for him because his performance doesn't make any sense until they actually deliver the 30 straight minutes of exposition dumps to explain the previous hour of the movie. But you don't care because the characters are so empty anyway. And,
and because they're also trying to do the whole, like, eventually it's also revealed that there's a romance between Rockwell and Dallas Howard, and because they spend so much
when she was Rachel Kyle,
and it's because they spend so much fucking time just milking this writer fantasy thing. They don't really have any scenes where they kind of develop that real relationship or have a hint of that love and passion for one another. And so it's another twisty thing that just kind of happens, and you're like, oh, just add it to the pile. That's what it feels like. It feels as if every twist and turn during the last hour feels like they're just pulling a lever, and they're like, okay, this twist now. All right. It turns out that the big CIA guy that's been watching her the whole time is actually her father, who Bryan Cranston plays. Pull the lever. The mother's also in it. Pull the lever. It's just nonsense. It's just it's just kept feeling like they were.
The funniest one for me was that. They do the whole Long Kiss Goodnight setup. She goes to Sam Jackson, who's like a former CIA director, and Sam Rockwell, and they sit her down and they tell her, this whole thing about, this whole thing about you being an author. You've just been it's all been a fantasy, and the Bryan Cranston sort of like evil spy director, he found you after you had like an accident, and he pretended to be your father, and he programmed you with this identity so that you would then write these books, and these books would be sort of like come to you naturally. And you would think of it as imagination, but actually they're real memories that you've had, and they're based on actual situations that you've been in with me and with, you know, Sam Jackson and our sort of like rogue spy operation that we're all a part of. And, you know, it from there, it just kind of, you know, really does just like peter out, and they keep trying to over explain it to you, and
it keeps
then it turns
going.
out that it just plot beat after plot beat after plot beat of characters sitting down and talking to each other and explaining, like it's a stupid, overcomplicated plot, and they spend half the movie explaining it to you because it feels like they know that. And they're like, no one's gonna make any sense of this movie, and it doesn't even make sense, even though they spend the whole movie explaining it to you, because they do this thing where it's like, oh yeah, so she was actually working with these guys, but it turns out she was actually a triple agent, and she was working with the bad guys and pretending to be one of these good spies. But then Sam Rockwell goes, but deep down you were actually still just a good spy, and you were actually going to betray them. So she was a quadruple agent, and this is like it's literally nonsense. I can't like and the bad type of moronic. I know we were just praising the Beekeeper, and you know, for how kind of moronic it